we all have opportunities in our life. We'll get opportunities come to us all the time. We have to decide whether that opportunity is for us. If it's valid opportunity, if it's for real, then you have to decide to either do it or not do it. And a lot of people have great opportunities and they never can make that decision to go ahead and do it. And even if you make the wrong decision, you know, you can always work around or rectify it or do something else. But you're never going to get anywhere if you don't learn to recognize opportunities and make a decision, yes or no. I met Leon early in the 1970s, and I said, you know, you're not getting the right kind of dates out there to bring you in the kind of revenue that you need. So why don't you let our company be your booking agent? And so we did. We were Leon's agent for a number of years and booked him in a lot of places. And this, we're talking about almost 60 years ago. And that was an interesting time for me because that was a time of growth for me, not only within the business, but as a young man, 21 years old, I'm learning the business and I'm learning about life. And this is why we're here today. We're talking about Leon Russell and some other things that go along with the music. And really, why is Oklahoma so important to the music business, or why has it been? Why is it Oklahoma has a disproportionate amount of musicians and important people in the music and the arts, more so than the population justifies? And I go back, it's the land. It all the things that we work on, what I worked on all my life, philosophically, it's about the land and the Creator. And the land exudes a certain energy here that I don't think you'll find anyplace else close to here. There are areas like that, like Taos, New Mexico for the artists and places of that nature. Austin, Texas for songwriters, and of course Nashville. But there is an energy that comes here that gives us an opportunity if we can recognize that opportunity and latch onto it and grow by it. Just like the oil entrepreneurs that came here. There's an energy that goes in this particular land we call Oklahoma that is, it's of a spiritual nature. And the results are not always of a spiritual nature, but they give us the energy to do magical things that maybe we wouldn't have been able to do someplace else. And so Tulsa in particular, I think, has been the focus of that. And as we look at Tulsa today, it's a vortex of entertainment centers around, from the casino areas that bring in big name entertainment, and to the BOK Center, to the Brady Theater, Kane's Ballroom, the Oral Roberts Center, the Mabee Center, and all of those that help make up the energy that generates out of this spot that we call Tulsa, Oklahoma. So Leon tapped into that. Leon included everybody in his life. He included every type of music I ever could imagine to do, because he was a researcher, I guess you would say, of sound and rhythms and way of things to put together. Every entertainer is in service some way or another to help people live their lives in a more harmonious way. And during the 1970s was a time of extreme change and discontent in America. And people like Leon were able to reach a lot of young people through the music that, whether they knew it or not, helped them through whatever they were going through. And a lot of them did know it, because that's why they became fans of it. On the other hand, some of the other people that I represented helped in a different way, not only through music, but through comedy. And that's when Hee Haw came in with Roy Clark and Buck Owens and that whole troupe of crazy people that were doing that silly comedy thing. But that was a relief too. People needed a relief of some kind and a release. And through music, the musician is able to touch people. They can't be touched any other way other than through that magic of music. Leon had that magic. He was one of the most magical of artists that I ever knew or ever worked with. I think seeing the magic that came out of the church studio, and during that specific time when Leon and all of his associates were there making the music, at that time, it was just another place that was going to put a bunch of tape machines and that, and a place for him to record. I thought it made a lot of sense because he did a lot of recording. I mean, when he wasn't on the road, he was in the studio doing something, so it made sense. But I didn't know they were going to have all of the Mad Dogs and Englishmen coming to town to record in that studio and make it world famous like it is now. I mean, the church studio is known around the world because that's where people credit the Tulsa Sound from coming from. What is the Tulsa Sound? Well, a lot of people equate that with the musicians that came here and worked in the church studio, because that was like the center, mother church of music, besides Cain's downtown. And Cain's had a different aura to it, but it's still a lot of the same people, you know, are all involved because we don't have that much population. So when we have something of interest or of cultural interest, it's how can you connect with people? And you don't even have to think, I'm going to connect to make their lives better. Their lives just get better if you make a connection with people. So I'm a little more broad in my Tulsa Sound explanation, because I think the Tulsa Sound was probably Bob Wills to begin with back in 1935, and all of the Western swing bands that came out of that, whether it was Hank Thompson, Leon McAuliffe, Johnnie Lee Wills, Merl Lindsay, and all that. Bob Wills, that was the Tulsa Sound. When you went to California, like I did in the 1950s, people were talking about Tulsa. Oh yeah, that's where Western swing started. Yeah. So that was the Tulsa Sound. Then Leon came and did that whole new, I don't know, it was the guitar licks or his piano virtuosity. He had an aura about him. If he were to walk in our office today, we would know he's out there whether we saw him or not, just by the aura that he had. Now at that time, our company was doing something different than Leon's Tulsa Sound. We were in country music as what was happening then with the Roy Clarks and the Oak Ridge Boys and the Hank Thompson. Hank Thompson had a big Western swing band. So while all of that may have meshed mentally with everybody else, there were different buyers that we went out to and different places that we played. But when you come to Tulsa, it's kind of all the same. What do I hope for Tulsa? I think it's not in competition with Nashville or Austin or LA or New York. It has its own history here that is important, that helped generate what is known as American music today. It's all American music. So it's an iconic place that people know I would call it of a spiritual nature, because a lot of music that helped people get through good times as well as hard times came from that location. And so you're gonna find other people that come in and want to be close to it, to pick up on that energy that's going on there and become a part of the healing process that we all look for and try to do ourselves.